What the police did in Colorado, they knew it was illegal. All of these people are friends with each other. When you try to turn in a police officer, they try to utilize the mental health system to make it okay. And they're friends with those people too. So you have to, well, similar to the Polly Olson situation, she's friends with the officers who done me wrong. She doesn't want to believe that her friends would do anything wrong. Mandy Singer, she's, now mind you, I have this in screenshots, but it's a lot of digging. By keeping me in a constant state of panic and keep me from having my own place where I have to deal with other people's noise. And I have to worry about being a disruption to their lives. I can't concentrate to work on the things that I need to. So I do the best I can through a constant fucking panic attack. And because I'm not stereotypically breathing into a fucking paper bag, then I must not be having a panic attack, right? Well, with Mandy, when her son disappeared, I tried to help find him. Now, she's now involved in MMIW or MMIP, missing and murdered Indigenous women and missing and murdered Indigenous people. That's because her son, the one that went missing, the one that I made a post about in December of 2017, he married a Native woman in Colorado. He moved to Pueblo. That's where he'd gone. I talked to Christopher Weaver because I was trying to help find him. I talked to Christopher Weaver on the bus in Boulder, Colorado. He was on his way out of town, and I was still trying to help find Mandy's son, even after Natalie died. Rose Kelly got onto that post and wanted to be an evil fucking wench and fucking slander my name. And it was a popularity contest. People were being so incredibly fucking rude to me and so incredibly fucking cruel. And it's all about the likes, isn't it? Meanwhile, that's the only way that I had to communicate with most of these people. A lot of these people, like Mandy, many of these people didn't have phones. They're homeless. I have to wait for them to be able to have access to the internet. And some of them have phones, but no service. So they have to go to Starbucks and stand outside of Starbucks and try to use that Wi-Fi in order to communicate with people. And it's difficult to find time to do that. Meanwhile, I'm stuck doing that as well. Mandy got beaten up by her boyfriend or husband in Arizona. And this is after Natalie was dead. I had been prevented from being able to communicate with her because of all of these Facebook bans. Facebook bans because people were calling everything that I posted spam. I needed help. I was begging people, come forward and tell the truth. Alicia Bollinger, come forward and tell the truth. People are harming me still because Alicia didn't tell the truth. All of this happened. All of this happened because Alicia and Natalie lied in Virginia. Every bit of this, my panic attacks, ever since then, all of the abuse that I've taken since then, it is all of it, over the situations I was forced into because of their slander. You don't like the way that I reacted to the abuse. You got to see already Tim Beeson in March of 2017. This is the first actual proof that I have. The first actual proof that I have that I would be able to show Natalie, but I didn't know how to take screenshots. And you got to see that, although it's out of order and there's pieces missing because of, well, some of that stuff got me Facebook banned, believe it or not. I'm going to try calling Mandy. She broke her foot 4 months ago. The doctors, she went into the hospital with a broken foot, and the doctors didn't fucking listen. She went to a different doctor. Turns out, yeah, her foot was fucking broken, and she'd been walking on it for months. Same thing with Mandy. Plus, her dog pulled a muscle. She's stuck outside in, I'm not even sure what town in Nebraska she's in now. But I helped her. I got a hold of my older brother's ex-girlfriend. Her name's Angela Kurzmal. And she was fucking junked out of her goddamn gourd. And a lot of this stuff I had on those phones that I was trying to show what was happening through constant panic attacks, constantly moving from place to place to place to place. I got to find internet in order to do this stuff. And then once I find internet, I have a very limited amount of time in order to do it in. The McDonald's in Hardin, Montana. There's some old folks that went in there. They buy a coffee in the morning and they sit there and every day it's a bunch of white people. And they sit there for between 4 and 6 hours off of sometimes just one cup of coffee between all of them. But they told me that I had to leave after 30 minutes. And I went and bought another burger and they still told me I had to leave. I wasn't creating any sort of a disturbance. It was fucking bullshit. But with Mandy, that's where I was when this was going on. That's where I was when I was in contact with um, Angela Kurzmal. And she's telling me she loves me and she cares about me and she's going to help me. And she's been sober for this long or that long. And then it turns out she was busy getting junked out of her goddamn mind. But I was able to get a hold of her to get Mandy safely away from her husband, from Arizona to Colorado. And I was able to coordinate to get her blankets and things of that nature. And she got back together with Joseph. And I was angry about that situation. I mean, you go back to him, he's just going to hurt you more, but there's also the safety inherent in that, and I got to understand that. And I forgave Joseph because she forgave him. She said he's changed. And I've heard that so many times out of women who just got beaten again. But Mandy also had to deal with people stealing her stuff because she's homeless, and the police and their harassment, and the hell that you go through trying to go to the shelter, trying to find someplace warm, trying to find a place to go to the bathroom. Just yesterday, she was posting about that. She got a busted foot and she's got to take a shit. She's homeless here in Nebraska. So I'm going to call her up and try to get her to verify those things. I got a hold of her yesterday. She typed, "Hey, it's Mandy. This is my new number." I typed, "This is Sean. Can I call you? And thank you for your number." She said, "Sorry, I'm dealing with some legal stuff. I hope you are well." I typed, "I'm not. Can I call you in a bit?" She typed, "Yes, afternoon if possible." I wasn't able to. I made other phone calls and I was waiting for stuff to download and had a bunch of other shit going on. And so I got a hold of her this morning. We'll see if she answers. I hope she does. If you go back through my videos on Facebook, you realize I reported on these police tactics before they pulled them.
I'm sorry, the person you are trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet. Please try your call again later. Goodbye.
Well, it was worth a try. It's 8:21 in the morning, and she's a little bit further east, so she's probably in a different time zone. So it's probably 9:21 there, but she's probably having the same problems that I had after Natalie died with the availability of charging your phone. I mean, you pay for a McDonald's burger and you get a half an hour, and in half an hour you're charging your phone. You get it up to 20% or so. And you got important. You don't want to waste that 20% charge, and you have to go outside to make that phone call anyway, and then you're no longer charging. And you're waiting on important phone calls, so you don't want to waste that on other people. You got your own problems, you got your own issues. Police America-wide prey on the homeless. And they get away with it because we don't have the resources to defend ourselves. When they slander our name, just like Todd was talking about with Mobley, just as I had been talking about. Mobley had to deal with that shit for years and years and years. He still has to deal with it, believe it or not. They're still looking for any excuse to ham him up. Brianna Hernandez Cordona, the young woman I lost my virginity to when she was 19. Mobley headbutted her when she was 17. And she thought it was my older brother who did it. Rabbit. No, it was Mobley. And Mobley was tripping on acid at the time, talking about how he saw the devil in her. See, Mobley's one of those Christian folks. One of those holier than thou folks. God ordained him to do this. Did he really? Did God really tell you to headbutt a 17-year-old girl in the forehead? And then I had to make a choice between trying to help that 17-year-old girl who got headbutted in the forehead or going with Mobley. Do you know why I chose to go with Mobley? Because going with that little girl would have gotten me treated like I was some sort of a child molester, some sort of a creeper, because that 17-year-old girl was trying to hang out with me. She should have never been there. Brianna Hernandez Cordona had a crush on me starting when she was 15 years old and was down there smoking pot with Janine and Derek. That's Derek Parrish. And she was in love with me. She was in love with me. She was in love with me. Whatever. One morning I woke up. I was on the Pearl Street Mall. And I woke up and somebody was cuddling with me. She had her head on my chest. And I looked down and I realized it was a 16-year-old Brianna. Train. I told her she needed to go away. I told her that if anybody had seen her doing that I could go to prison for it. And she didn't understand that. She wasn't willing to understand that. She was like, but Sean, I'm in love with you. I'll just explain to them that I'm in love with you. I'm like, no, that's not going to work. And then Nicole Gerald at the time we were going to try dating. Obviously, we didn't date, but she was going to Naropa to be a therapist. And she was doing her internship with this attention homes, is what it's called. And so Brianna's going down there and telling Nicole about how we're having a terrible breakup. Hey, Mandy.
Hey, it's Joseph and I. How are you?
I'm in a lot of pain. I'm trying not to have a panic attack.
Yeah. How far are you from the cook?
Do what?
How far are you from the cook?
I have no idea. I'll have to look it up on the internet.
Okay.
I'm trying to get things going here because I have, people I know here, and for somebody who's autistic, it's important to have familiarity.
Yeah.
They keep.
That's why we came to the cook, because my daughter's here, and she's got 2 kids, so that's huge for me to have my family here.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I was gonna. They keep trying to say that I'm schizophrenic, and that a lot of the people who, are in my stories, like they're trying to pretend that my stories are fake and trying to pretend that I'm schizophrenic and shit like that. Like, I needed to call you to try to verify that I'm not schizophrenic.
As far as I know, you've never exhibited any schizophrenic tendencies that I've ever seen. Your brother, on the other hand, is batshit crazy.
Rabbit, yeah.
Rabbit is batshit crazy.
Well, he's fucking strung out on meth.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. We went. When did we go to Boulder last? Last year. It was bad, Sean. Like, it's bad up in Boulder with the meth. 5 months ago that we were there. September. Last September we were in Boulder, and it was horrible.
And the cops are still ignoring it, aren't they?
Dude, okay, in front of the courthouse, right there on the 4 corners, the municipal building?
Yep.
Joseph and I pull up. We have our trailers and our bikes, and we have the dog. All the tweakers, we've got, who was it? DJ and Shadow and fucking Danica and, God, what starts with an F? Larry, and all the tweakers are sitting there shooting up and smoking their bubbles right in public on the right there in front of that municipal building. Yeah, outside the mayor's office. Yeah, just sleeping there and doing all their drugs. You find dope baggies all over the place, and the cops know it, and they just let it go. It's disgusting.
Well, they were, when Natalie's mom got on that post about your son missing and was calling me a stalker and typing, "How can you post that stuff?" Like, was I trying to help find your son?
Dude, you did a lot to help find my son. Actually, wasn't it you who fucking found Ogre?
It was.
Yeah, so that we could find out what the fuck he knew?
Yep.
Yeah, because nobody on the fucking streets could find Ogre, and then you fucking located him, and I was able to talk to him and, figure out what was going on with my son.
Yeah, Ogre threw me away over all that shit that happened with Natalie, and he couldn't even come forward about the fact that I went through a lot of bullshit with him for like 3 months, when he was trying to keep his daughter. You remember when Danny died behind the pedestrian shop?
When who died?
Shady Dan. I was helping Ogre. That's when he realized, he's fucking screwed, and we helped carry all of his stuff back down to Pearl Street, and I went to Starbucks, and that was at like 6 o'clock in the morning when we found Danny dead. Me and the manager at the pedestrian shop and Anna, that was at 10 o'clock. They knew that Danny was back there, not breathing and unresponsive at fucking 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God.
Yep. But Ogre threw me away over that shit. And like when Cardboard was running around after she was, really trying to get Ogre to have sex with her, and he did. And then she ran around down on Pearl Street trying to claim that he raped her. Like, I fucking stuck up for his ass. Fucking that woman is a wingnut as hell.
Yeah. Well, he kind of threw me away over my son issue, in that when all that shit went down, then Ryan, my son, and Ogre were up at the camp that Terry and I had. When Terry and I got up to that camp, the place was trashed and full of Ogre's piss bottles. And then when we were around, we come to find out, a resident of Ned tells us our fucking camp was put up on the Ned Head website because Ogre left the campfire burning. He left the camp entirely. Went to Longmont and left the fire burning at camp.
Holy shit. You don't fucking do that. You leave it how you found it.
Yeah. You know better. And I said something, and he got all fucking pissy and wouldn't talk to me anymore. And I'm just like, really, dude? It's on the Nedhead page, and I have documentation that I was in fucking Fort Collins then. So I'm not very happy with Ogre.
I noticed your foot's busted and you were having problems finding a bathroom yesterday.
Well, so this is what's going on with my daughter. Her landlord has decided that my dog's registration service paperwork is not valid, that he's not a true service dog, and that we are committing fraud. And she's told me that. So my daughter has to call the housing, and fucking talk to them and file a complaint and go for a lawsuit. The woman she barged into my daughter's apartment a week ago. She didn't know my daughter wasn't home. She heard people in the house, and she knocked and said, "There's a leak downstairs that I need to go look at her plumbing," and barged her way in, screaming at us for being fakes and frauds, and then told us that we were dirty homeless people that brought the coronavirus to McCook.
Yep. Congratulations. That's what you get for being a filthy fucking hobo. I hope you fucking die of the plague.
Yeah, that's what they said. And you know what, honestly, Sean, I've been sick. I could have the virus. I don't know, because I get sick 2 to 4 times a year with my asthma and my allergies. But my house is better than anybody else's because we're out here every fucking day.
Yeah, we're in the fresh air.
We're in the fresh air, and we've already got our immunity system so built up. So,
yeah, that's what happens when you have to eat out of dumpster slime.
Luckily, I haven't made her do that ever.
Yeah, Joseph's cut me out of the dumpster, but it's amazing the way the landlords were being. But so I can't go to her apartment. Her landlord made her move her expedition because we're staying in it, and it was parked on a public street. Okay, said if she didn't move the expedition, she was going to evict my daughter. Okay, and then so we moved it just so we didn't have more drama. Then she proceeds to message my daughter, telling my daughter how the owner of the lot, the parking lot we're parked in, called the owner of the apartment complex who called her, saying that they're going to have the vehicle towed away, and they're calling the police on us. So we're waiting. The police did show up yesterday. It's the same officer that showed up when we had the issue with the landlord last week, and all he said was, "You guys are going to just be safe."
Yeah, try to get the brakes.
Yeah,
it's good to hear that.
Her front brake line is cracked, so we've got to get some type of temporary fix on it so we can get the car moving, and then we got to get the rear tires replaced. We have them. We just need to get them mounted, but no place will do it if there's no brakes on the car.
Well, with all the fucked up police shit going on, like, what's the name of that officer? Because he wasn't a dick to you. I'd like to fucking give him some recognition of some sort.
Dude, he's been so amazing to us. It is Nicholas Vargas, number 8, with the McCook Police Department.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's been absolutely amazing. This is... Oh, this was all my paperwork from... I don't need this anymore.
It was wrapped around.
Yeah, this I don't need because I already talked to that attorney, and I just got to fill out the paperwork and send it into her. So I'm getting my disability filed.
I'm working on that. I had disability before Natalie died, and I had housing, and that all got taken away because of what the police in Boulder did.
Oh my God.
I got a few other questions for you. When I was in Boulder, did I pass out blankets for 7 years to homeless people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I walk people to the warming centers?
Yep. Dude, Sean, you were one of the few men on the street who would look out for the women without fucking intention of trying to fuck them.
Exactly.
You know, and when I got back to Colorado last year, you literally saved our asses. You saved our asses by providing us with gear.
Yes, ma'am.
That was huge.
I had to do that from Wyoming because I couldn't go to the state of Colorado.
I know. You know, it helped out so much. And it just, you know, I think you've gotten a really short end of the stick because they know that you got a disability check. So therefore, they're going to assume that you must have mental health issues that make you not, you know, sane. And that's not true. You're one of the fucking sanest people I know when it comes to fucking the facts. You're not one of those that is like, I'm just going to... You're not like Wings. Let me put it that way. You're not that shit crazy like Wings.
Well, you know, one of the people with Natalie and Alicia, when I busted Emery and Arturo, like, what made Wings batshit crazy was losing her fucking kid, the one that she had with Emery. That guy is no fucking good.
Yeah. Well, she had, you know, now she has a little boy and she cinder blocks the dad.
Yep, Cinderblock was there. Cinderblock, and you remember Brain Damage?
I know Brain, yeah.
Yeah, they were both there the day that Danny was dead. I woke them both up to let them know. Brain Damage actually went in with me to talk to the cops.
Yeah. Yeah, and Boulder's so corrupt. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's the thing, is that, you know, when it made a difference, when people were paying attention to it and, you know, trying to make up their minds whether I was the good guy or the bad guy, the Boulder police assaulted me and charged me with assault. Waylon Lolatai.
Oh God. Have
Yep.
you connected with Boulder with Darren O'Connor at all?
Darren O'Connor is a fucking piece of shit.
Okay.
I was trying to work with him to try to get some video cameras to record the shit that the Boulder police were doing about how they were violating our rights. And Darren O'Connor was, you know, down with that. And I was also trying to get some help with going after the state of Colorado because I was raped in the system there growing up. And that was before Natalie died. But afterwards, like, yeah, because of the shit that people were saying about me, saying that I was a child molester and a rapist and a murderer and a stalker and all that shit, like Darren O'Connor, he pretended that he was going to help me, but then when it came down to actually helping me, he just fucking used the hell out of me. Like, he used the information that I gave him about these officers, because there were 3 different situations that he was dealing with as far as that, or 4 different ones, because there was Betsy Prowell getting assaulted in the same way that I was. There was the Zaid Atkinson thing. There was Sammy Leon Lawrence IV, and there was Michelle Rodriguez. And
all of them.
Yep. And see, the thing is that they weren't tagged as being child molesters or rapists or murderers or stalkers, you know?
Yeah.
So Darren O'Connor, he's like, dude, with what they said about you, I'm fucking scared for my kids. Like, I can't I can't help you the way that you need because I got to worry about my reputation. I'm trying to become a lawyer.
Well, why didn't he simply run your name and see if you were on the registry?
Well, that's exactly the point. Like, out of all of this, not one supposed victim has come forward, but I've had to deal with a lot of people who accused me of shit that I didn't do. Like, you remember when I sent you that thing about that young woman in Montana who was missing? Selena, Not Afraid? Yeah. I wasn't even in fucking Montana. I was here in Chapel, fucking Nebraska when she disappeared, you know? But I had people up there who were claiming that they saw me with Selena, and claiming that some of these people were claiming that they caught a ride with me up there and that they had to throw themselves out of the vehicle to get away with me, or get away from me. And then there were people when Natalie disappeared, there were people that were posting up all over the internet bearing false witness that they saw me with Natalie when she fucking died. They saw me with Natalie and that I fucking abducted her and all sorts of shit like that. I had Nicholas Romero getting a hold of me and fucking claiming that I was a child molester. Derek Apodaca fucking was claiming that he saw me drag Alicia Bollinger into the public restrooms on Pearl Street when he fucking assaulted me. I mean, there was all sorts of fucked up shit like that going on, you know?
There's cameras all over. They could have fucking pulled video.
Exactly, but they won't. It's because the police are involved in fucking covering up all of the crimes that they committed. I'm a disabled person. It's a felony for a mandatory reporter not to report that. And not one of the mandated reporters did that. And that includes here in Chapel, Nebraska, and in Haxton, Colorado, after Natalie was killed. Like, I have video evidence of it, but they're the ones who have the access to the evidence. The police, who I'm trying to turn in, are the ones who have access to that evidence. And
I have a suggestion to give you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So, I have a friend I've known for 30 years, and she lives with her ex-husband, and he's threatening her constantly. So, all of her evidence she has also sent to me either through my Gmail or my Google Voice or Messenger on Facebook so that I have a copy of it. Have you ever considered finding somebody, and I would be more than happy to hold your documents, like a copy of it, having somebody you trusted hold your evidence so that
I've done that. Everybody that I trusted did nothing with it. I tried sending that to one of Natalie's ex-stepmothers. Her name is Rochelle Shelley Campbell, and another one named Cara Rogers, and another of her stepmothers named Danica Garner. These people, it turned out that these are Natalie's predators. You know, I also sent it to a woman named I sent it to Miss Peaches, you know, Kayla Trujillo. I sent it to her. I also sent it to a guy named Dan Fabert. I sent it to a woman named Shannon Alvarado. But the thing is, with all of these people, they never did anything with it. And most of them, it's because they're fucking strung out on drugs or they don't have time or whatever else the situation is. Like Mandy Hughes, that was a major one right there. Like Mandy Hughes was wanting to help me, but she didn't know how to do any of this stuff. And that's the thing, is that I've sent it out repeatedly. It takes time to collect it. And a lot of that, the police outright stole from me to prevent me from being able to show it. And other people outright stole from me. I had homeless people in Tacoma, Washington steal it from me. One of the homeless people who stole my computer up there, he just got shot. He was a child molester and he got shot in Tacoma. His stuff has actually been on the news. You know, I mean, I've tried that. And does your friend happen to be Mariah Johnson?
No, but I do know Mariah. Give me your DL on her.
She's going through hell, same situation. Boulder police just won't leave her alone. Like all of the people that I spoke out about all of our stories on my Facebook after Natalie died. And all of these people whose stories that I spoke out about, all of you guys, from you and Joseph and Mariah and all of these people have been harassed by the cops nonstop in Boulder. And go ahead.
Not even in Boulder, it's Boulder County, because when I was with Terry, aka Turtle, the whole, you know, when he was fucking stalking me and I was all strung out because of him and shit. The first time he laid hands on me was in December of 17, and we were sleeping in the field behind the Walmart in Lafayette, and I ran into the Walmart and asked them to call the police. And the police, by the time the police showed up, Terry was already outside the Walmart, had them convinced I was mentally unstable, strung out on drugs, and had assaulted him, and they threatened to charge me. Okay, I went through this repeatedly. I couldn't even go to the cops because I knew that they were not going to believe me. What it took was that in May, it was the Memorial Day weekend of 18, Terry and I were up in the mountains, up past West Mag, and he started assaulting me again, and he's fucking like throwing a machete at me. He's throwing weapons at me and shit, and I take off. I have hardly anything. And we're past West Mag, what is that, 20, whatever? We're back past that. I fucking cut through the mountains, up and down, right on out until I get to a main road. And I'm walking, and this whole experience, I stopped at one camp and begged the guy. I was like, can you please just give me some water? I won't bother you. Just give me some water. I see a police officer leaving the campground, and he goes by me as I'm waving him down. Well, the police officer stops, and he comes up yelling at me, and he says, I'm trying to find a missing woman out here. I'm not going to let you manipulate me and guilt me into helping you. And I looked at him and I said, I just had a domestic violence situation in my camp, and I am trying to get out of Boulder. Just get me out of Boulder. Get me to Denver. I don't care. I wouldn't even tell them who did it. And it was the Netherlands police officer who is from Ireland.
Yep.
Okay, he was the one who found me, and it is because of him and how the condition he saw me in and the bruises on my body that I actually got any fucking help and finally got a restraining order and got that man the fuck out of my life. And even after that, the only reason I am where I'm in today is because I happened to run into Joseph. Joseph found me the last time I was with Terry. He found me. I left Terry 4 days later, waited 2 weeks, went and found Joseph. Joseph's the only person who kept that motherfucker completely away from me.
And see, I try explaining that to people. Like when you're alone out there, you are, and that's just how it is. You have to have some protection on the streets. You have to have help in person. Do what?
I don't know if you know who Mike Smith is in Boulder. He's from Rhode Island, but he's a sexually violent predator. But he was a registered sex offender in 2014, and I didn't know it, and I got involved with him. And it was hell. Joseph, again, is the one person who was able to step in and keep Mike enough at a distance from me until I can file charges. I've been through hell with Boulder. And the only reason they did anything about Mike is because of the detective I got was Stephen Faber, and Mike had already been on radar because he had already assaulted other women.
Well,
Boulder sucks. They fucking suck. They denied me last year when I went to the severe weather shelter. It was the night we got in, so we got all the stuff from Angie, and we get to Boulder, and it's Devin and I and my dog, and they tell me my dog's not allowed even though he's a service dog, okay?
Yep, I remember that.
He tells me this. He goes, your dog's not going to be allowed in. He has a Rottweiler dog that he leaves in his car overnight while he's sleeping in the shelter. He tells me this. He leaves, staff comes out, says the same thing, and I tell them, well, you know what, we're getting ready to leave. Just give me a minute. A staff member goes to this man's car who has the Rottweiler, and it opens the door and lets a dog out. The dog proceeds to try to attack me. The only thing that saved my ass was the fact that my dog was with me, Chips, and with a muzzle, he put the Rottweiler down and kept the dog off of me. The owner of the dog didn't even come get the dog. It was some homeless woman who came, pulled the dog back, got somebody to get the dog back in the car, and helped me up. I was knocked on the ground because I had a big metal frame pack with our gear, and Chips was attached to the metal frame of the pack. And they tell me, I can't go get any services. I'm bad. They're calling the police on me. I get assaulted, and they're calling the cops on me.
Yep.
Now, do you remember a guy? Do you know Christopher Perry, Chris and Ivy? Do you remember a guy back in 14 that hung around with Days that went by the name of Half Sack, Chris and Karma?
Was he the guy that killed
Nope.
Donnie Horn?
No, Chris didn't kill anybody. Chris is a guy, he's been around Boulder a lot, and he used to be with this girl named Karma back in 2014, 15.
I remember Karma.
Huh?
I remember Karma.
Yeah. So they were together for a while, and they had 2 dogs. He's the one I got my dog from. He's the one who trained Chips to be a service dog. So I have a very good dog, but obviously other people think he's a pet. But Boulder sucks. We won't go in Boulder because I'm afraid they're going to try to find a reason to take my dog, or they'll find a reason to arrest Joseph, or whatever. I do not go to Boulder. Not even for the wonderful, cheap marijuana prices.
See, that's the thing, is that the Boulder police, they assaulted me and then charged me with assault. I'm having to go to the officer who covered up the wrongdoing of the Boulder Police Department when Danny died. He's the very same officer that I had to call to try to get help from out of state. I had to call him from Cheyenne, Wyoming to try to get him to investigate, and he didn't do it.
Damn.
Yeah, they were claiming that they had more important things going on with the Zed Atkinson situation. And then, after that happened, like, he called me the next day and claimed that he went through all of the body cam footage, that my public pretender at the time, Amanda Balehash, had claimed didn't exist. And that's the thing, is like they did everything that they could to try to make me seem crazy, to try to make it seem like I was schizophrenic, and they tried doing the same thing here in Chapel. I mean, these tactics are America-wide.
Yeah.
And because I was assaulted by Officer Whalen Lolatai, that's on my arrest record. They dropped the charges because they had a better frame job at Clearview. But the other thing is, because they dropped the charges, they did that because they knew that it wouldn't stick. They knew that if I was able to go into court and show that evidence and show what they had done wrong and show that they were omitting evidence that they claimed didn't exist, these body cam footage, that these officers would be going not to jail. They wouldn't just be losing their jobs and be put on administrative leave. They would be going literally to prison. And Officer Gerhardt, he covered up the crimes that resulted in Danny being dead, and me finding him dead hours after they got the first call that he was back there and unresponsive. And this is the officer that I got to call and talk to try to get him to investigate. And he's telling me that these body camera footage that doesn't exist, that Amanda Balehash was claiming didn't exist, that she made no effort to actually get, and by the way, she was rewarded for this by
becoming a judge in Adams County. She was working together with the officers in Adams County when I was trying to get my computer back, that they claimed if I went to Boulder, they would bring it to Boulder to me, even if the next day, even if I was in Boulder. And Amanda Balehash was involved in conversing with me and conversing with them to try to get me that computer back, and telling me that they couldn't release it to me because they had to have Joseph Michael Lopez's attorney sign off on it, you know. And
Who's that person?
Joseph Lopez,
Yeah.
that's the guy that shot Natalie in the head.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, fuck. I knew the name was familiar, but I really, I just only knew it from the article I read when they sentenced him.
Yep. And that's the thing, is that when it made a difference, they did everything in their power to try to make me look crazy and try to make me look like I was some sort of a violent predator, anything that they could to justify the crimes that they had committed both before and after Natalie's death. Like, and my public pretenders like Amanda Balehash were helping them. You know, I needed people to come forward, but with all the Facebook bans, I couldn't get a hold of you. I couldn't get a hold of 90% of the people who at the time didn't have access to a phone. I could only get a hold of them on Facebook. Meanwhile, I've got literally hundreds of people on Facebook fucking threatening my life, and I can't go through that. There's lots of people who are like, hey, there's all these people that are offering to help you, and I'm like, I have to search through hundreds of threats just to find the people who are offering to help me, and I can't even contact the people who are trying to help me because they did everything in their power to destroy evidence, prevent me from showing evidence. I mean, between looking at evidence and trying to make me look crazy, they tried to make me look crazy. That's the route that they took. And the only chance that I had of being able to defend myself against that was being able to get hold of people like you and people like Shauna Sinclair and people like Peaches, people to actually come forward in public and fight for my rights in public instead of just the slander that was allowed. And with, you know, all of these different places like Mike Boudet with Sword and Scale and the bullshit that they pulled, and the police slandering my name in the media repeatedly over and over and over and over again, including to Sword and Scale and all of these other places. Like, they literally did everything that they could to try to push me to the point that I would shoot myself in the head and they could get away with it. But I'm still fighting because I still keep hoping that these people will come forward and tell the truth.
Yeah. Yep. It's a really sad state because I'm learning that it's what is it they say? It's not the deeds of bad men; it's the way that good men don't say anything. Basically,
your son sent me a whole bunch of that stuff. Martin Niemöller made a poem called "When They Came." When they came for the communists, I did nothing because I was not a communist. When they came for the socialists, I did nothing because I was not a socialist. You know, there's also, and you know, when they came for me, there was nobody to speak up for me, and that's exactly what I've been saying. Is that they won't listen to me.
I'm going to share something with you real quick because I don't think you know a whole lot of my history and how I ended up on the streets. In a nutshell, my mom married a man who was her best friend's husband in 1985 or 84. We moved to Colorado in 1985. By 1990, he had gone through enough work through being a security guard and then becoming a security guard for a company that was privately contracted for the detention of immigrants, the one there in Denver. He became a state employee. His first couple of years was at the DRDC, and then he transferred out to Lyman. Did his career at Lyman. During this time, my parents used my private journals, my lesbianism, my lifestyle into the BDSM culture, all of that in court to take my kids from me. They did it not once. I got my kids back. The second time, I was like, fucking take them. I don't know what to do. So after they destroy my life and take my kids and adopt my kids, my stepdad manages to control the situation to the point that at 16 years old, my son is arrested and charged with raping my daughter. Okay? He gets put into foster care. He gets charged. He gets convicted not for that. He gets convicted for an incident that happened when him and my niece, or him and 5 other kids, were caught with their pants down by my stepdad. My son and my niece were 12. My other son and my nephew were 10. My daughter and my other nephew were 8. My stepdad, he didn't molest me. What he did is he would have inappropriate conversations about my sex life. He would make me perform sexual actions in front of me. He would have my bedroom set up so he could peek in my door and watch me having sex with my boyfriends. That is what I had to live through. When it came out what he did and he framed my son and my son had to go through the fucking youth offender services and the sexual offender fucking therapy and now live with a registration of sex offender on his fucking head because my stepdad lied. I'm on the streets because I stood up and spoke out about it. A couple years back, my parents admitted they lied and apologized. And I'm still on the fucking streets and my son still has a sex offender registry on his head. Because nobody wants to believe me that the man did this shit to me. My brother was there. He did it to my brother, but my brother refused to talk about it. However, I do have
Boys aren't supposed to.
talk about. Huh?
Boys aren't supposed to. That's the thing. I was raped all growing up. I mean, I grew up in the system because my parents chose drugs over me.
Yeah.
And when I spoke up about it, they abused me, they drugged me, they tried to diagnose me with schizophrenia and all sorts of shit like that, and it didn't stick. The next facility I went to, they're like, this kid's not schizophrenic. Fucking
No.
we need to have an officer here to fucking do something about this situation, and the police wouldn't show up.
Yeah.
Like the first place that I was actually in that was a foster home, I should have stayed there. That was a foster home in Scotts Bluff. And it was great. Me and Rabbit were both there. But I mean, Rabbit got fucking molested at Colorado Christian Home by a staff member, and
Yeah.
that staff member got removed. But when I turned in what the staff were doing to me, like they got away with it. You know, when I was raped by Dominic in Mount St. Vincent's home, like I just had to take it. And when I was molested in the foster homes, like I'd try to turn them in and the police would show up and they would fucking tell me, hey, you know, we're gonna charge you with false reporting. I mean, this is a foster home and they're ordained by the state of Colorado. Obviously they're not going to do anything like that. You know, you got two choices. You can stay with this foster home because it's temporary. You know, you only get to go to the foster home for 2 weeks at a time, or we can take you down to the juvenile facilities. And by that point, I'd already been in the juvenile facilities. I was a little white boy. Fuck yes, those fucking black kids beat the shit out of me because I was a white boy. And the thing is, I still stick up for black people because of that.
Yeah.
I don't look at it as, you know, fuck all black people because of what these few black people did to me. I understand why those black kids took it out on me. And I understand that the ones that molested me, they were being molested at home. That's what they learned.
That's exactly right. They were only simply repeating what they learned.
Yep, and they call it.
I broke the cycle because most of my life, up until my mid-30s, I repeated what I learned at home. You know, my children paid the price, and they ended up with my parents. But when I broke the cycle and my family pushed me out, you know, I've had to learn that these people are hurting. And, you know, I had to recognize where I was simply doing what I had learned at home and hurting other people and start loving myself and parenting myself to where I don't do that. And when I do, I feel horrible. About the ugliest I get is with Joseph, and he's felt a lot with me with the trauma from Terry. Because I'm so traumatized, Sean. In Colorado, I won't go seek medical care unless I absolutely have to, and I won't get mental health care because every place I've ever been to, he has already gone to. I went to go to Community Reach, he had already been there and talked to them about me. So nowhere in Colorado can I go and get help for trauma because my ex has gone and convinced these people that I'm a liar and I'm batshit crazy. You know, and that's not true. You know, one thing I am not is I'm not a liar. You know, I don't accuse people of doing things, especially serious, horrible things, unless it's happened because I don't take that shit lightly. I know people that have been accused of things falsely, and it's destroyed their fucking lives.
That's what I'm dealing with.
Molesting our sons, and even though nothing was ever charged or filed or went into courts, just the accusations alone drove him out of his hometown to Bakersfield, where he's lived for decades. The man is now in a walker. He has to get IV infusions for antibiotics and other shit. His health is crap. They destroyed his fucking life. You know, it's disgusting that our system does that. I do know, though, Sean, there's got to be places that can help. It's just...
I've called hundreds of places. I've literally made hundreds of phone calls to the FBI. You know, even the FBI was involved in the cover-up. The judges and my own public pretenders were involved in the cover-up. And
what was the cover-up about?
It was about the fact that the situation with Natalie Bollinger, everything that they did to me over it, all of the illegal crimes that the police were committing, and all of the illegal crimes that were committed by the hospitals because they're friends with the police.
Now, they were trying to pin you for that, weren't they?
They were. And a lot of people, they thought that when they found Joseph Michael Lopez, that it was all over and everything was fine and dandy, but it wasn't. By that time, Ken and Leah had fucking stolen all of my money, and you know, people were afraid to come forward. They were afraid of what the police would do. They were afraid of what the Bollingers would do. There was a bunch of stuff with the people that I was able to get a hold of. Well,
what were they saying? Like, because all I got was media accounts, and I know the media did not actually.
Well, long and short of it, Boulder police were trying to drive me to suicide, and I was gonna kill myself. And that's when Natalie came back into my life. Her and you remember Maddie Boa?
Yeah.
Well, Maddie Boa was, you know, she was selling meth at the time, and she was trying to clean up, and they're the ones who rescued me. And when Natalie went to Virginia, she wouldn't even get on the airplane unless I promised that I would go see her in Virginia. Well, I was a few months late, and there was a lot of people. If I'm going to go all the way there, I'm going to see all of these different people I want to see, like Sage, and you remember Moose?
Yeah.
Moose was living in North Carolina, and by the way, he's addicted to meth now.
Oh, God.
Right? And I was going to go see my friend Amanda, who I know here from Chapel. And I mean, I set it up to go see a lot of people, and Mahalia Jean-Pierre, she needed a rescue at the time. She had a newborn baby. She was stuck with a dude she'd paid him rent, but then he's like, that's not enough. You need to suck my dick if you want to stay here. And like, you know, so I actually was able to, you know, coordinate with her. I was going to go help her out and help her move out of there and bring her back to Boulder. But then my friend in South Dakota, she had some issues with her boyfriend beating her up and her being afraid for her son. So I went all the way around. And meanwhile, like Natalie had called me and told me that her family is driving her crazy. Her ex-boyfriend, his name is Tim Beeson, was driving her crazy. He had stolen her dog and a lot of stuff like that. And her mom was driving her nuts. She was telling me that she was off the heroin, but that, you know, no matter what she was trying to tell them, they always accused her of being on heroin, and no matter what was going on, it's all her fault because of the heroin. And so she's like, Sean, if you're not already on the road, I'm going to fucking kill myself. And then she drove her fucking car into a telephone pole. And I went there to go see her and to fucking rescue her from that. And it was great and it was wonderful. And they invited me to go places, and they were trying to hook me up with a job at Vico Construction. And she understood that I needed someone to sit with me to show me how to do this stuff on a computer, not just tell me that I need to do it, but teach me how.
Yeah.
And she was trying to help me use Craigslist to get a job. She was trying to help me get a job with Vico Construction. I got her busted old phone from her sister for my birthday, and they transferred the number over to their name, and it was doing its own thing. Like, none of the text messages I was trying to send on that phone were going out right. Now, they had invited me to stay behind where Alicia had worked at the time, which was the Cricket store, and her boyfriend worked 2 stores down at Starbucks. And you know how I am with Starbucks because of their policies. And so, like, what ended up happening is on my birthday, after they've invited me to go to all of these places with them, and Natalie has been, telling me she really wants to have some one-on-one time with me. She wants to have a one-on-one conversation. And every time we get together, her sister has to go, or these alcoholics have to go with us. And it basically ends up being dudes trying to get their attention, or it ends up being Alicia having to be the center of attention the whole time. And me and Natalie can't get a word in edgewise. We did everything that Alicia wanted to do while I was there.
Yeah.
You know? And so I was in a McDonald's parking lot. It was freshly blacked over, so it was extremely hot, and I was fucking dehydrated in my black vehicle. And, I got dehydrated, and for several days after that, I was still dehydrated, and her sister was sending me all sorts of mean shit, and I'm like, "Holy fuck, I'm not trying to be mean," you know? And it was when she was sending me that mean shit that I severely broke down and had a fucking meltdown there, and I'm trying to explain to him, like, I'm hurt a lot, my back was already injured, and I spent 2 days working at a labor ready because they had Hurricane Matthew, and we're talking about 2.5 hours each way of driving time. And then we're also talking about how, all of my money is going into my vehicle. I don't have the money to go anywhere. I can't go see Sage. I can't see Ed Simmons. I can't, Christine Buhit's ex, Ed. Yeah, well, he decided to be the responsible parent, and he's taking care of Avery. Christine, she's never going to get off the heroin or the meth. She's never going to care about her son, but he does. So I was supposed to visit them, and I was supposed to visit Amanda and all of this, and I couldn't afford to do any of that. And all of my money that I had gotten, I spent it to clean out my vehicle, to get some clothes so that I was clean, to take care of my hygiene, and also to try to get things going. Well, the thing is that all of these nice things that they did for me, including giving me that phone and giving me a key fob and, telling me, insisting that I tell them something I want for my birthday. And we went out to where Alicia wanted to go for my birthday, and I'm severely dehydrated. And her mom found her heroin while we were out on my birthday. That was the last time I saw Natalie alive. Well, after that, they called Maddie Boa, who was supposed to go with me there, and told Maddie Boa that I had threatened their family. What had happened is I had a severe fucking meltdown, and I, with that phone not working, I went to Natalie's house to explain to her what was going on. And this is the second time I've been there, third time, because the first time that I went there was to drop off a wheelchair for her. The second time that I went there, is because we were going to go out for my birthday. And me and Natalie didn't want to go anywhere. We wanted to stay there. We didn't want to go to Elliot's Coffee Grounds. But Alicia insisted she had to be there, and they were fighting over a boy at the time. And I knew that Natalie thought that she was in love with me, and she kept on going back and forth on whether or not she still thought she was in love with me. But the thing is that while I was there on my cigarette breaks, or on her cigarette breaks, on her lunch breaks, Alicia was inviting me to come over and spend time with her, and me and Alicia got lots of one-on-one time. So I got this strange, sneaky suspicion that I was the boy that they were fighting over, but that's neither here or there. The fact is that when I had that panic attack and I went to her house, and this is a couple of days afterwards, I'm severely dehydrated. I'm in a lot of pain. I need help, and I'm stuck outside of her house because the steering column fucking broke free. I mean, it's free floating. I can't do shit. And the map quest that I needed Alicia's boyfriend at the Starbucks' help to even set up, I mean, they told me to make a U-turn, and I'm so fucking out of it from not sleeping and from being fucking dehydrated and from having a panic attack over the mean shit that Alicia is sending me. Like, I went to make a U-turn, and I'm staring at her house. I'm stuck between two road cones because they got road construction. I'm staring at her house, and I'm fucking scared shitless. And a car drives past me, and it narrowly misses me and fucking honks the horn as it's going past. After that, I couldn't look to the right because I was afraid I was going to see somebody fucking careen into me. So I kept my eyes fucking forward, or fucking kept them staring at the steering wheel, and honked my horn so that anybody coming around the corner would fucking know that I was stuck in the road. And fucking, it was maybe 15 minutes between then and when the cops came. Her mom came out of the house and mouthed the words, "I'm calling the cops." And I was like so thankful that she was calling the cops. But after that, when I was leaving Virginia, And the cops, by the way, had broken my car. And when I tried to call up to report that the police had broken my vehicle further than it already was, the people there were playing stupid. They were, you know how they play fucking stupid when you try to turn in a cop? Well, they were pulling that bullshit on me. And they did that at the hospitals too, by the way. And, you know, they took me to the hospital. Natalie and them tried to claim that I threatened them. They tried to claim that I had been arrested, and neither one of those was the case. But, you know, when I went to the hospital, they gave me some pieces of paper and dropped me off on the fucking streets in Chesapeake, fucking Virginia. They, you know, wrote down some fucking shit that was bullshit. They tried diagnosing me with diabetes, which I'm not diabetic. And they wrote down an anxiety disorder, which fucking obviously, you know, and they also wrote down marijuana use. And I explained to them, this is because I explained to them that I quit smoking pot 2 weeks before I even went to Virginia. By this point, I'd already been not smoking pot for 5 weeks. And they put marijuana use as a diagnosis. And then when you look at the treatment, what did they treat me for? They treated me for, I have the paper right here. This isn't it. 725 Volvo Parkway, Chesapeake, Virginia. They wrote down that what they treated me for was dehydration, like I said. Sodium chloride, 0.9% bolus infusion, 1,000 milliliters. And they only wrote down one bag, but they actually gave me 2 of them. That's how dehydrated I was. And the salt in it, it's not like the 0.1% that they use in Colorado. This is 0.9%. I mean, my eyeballs are burning. So I got a hold of Natalie and Alicia, and I let them know, if you guys are afraid of me, then just let me know, and I will never contact you again. And Natalie got a hold of me on Alicia's phone, and they're identical twin sisters. So I mean, they sound the same on the phone. I couldn't really tell which one I was talking to, but she got a hold of me on Alicia's phone and said, "Sean, I love you, but my family is scared of you. So don't talk to me again, and I'm sorry." And so I fucking, instead of continuing to try to pursue the bullshit with the police, with them playing fucking retarded, I drove to Colorado. Before I even got out of state, Maddie Boa and I was trying to talk to her and explain what was going on, and she's like, you're a fucking creep, and fucking I heard what you did, and so on and so forth. You threatened Natalie's family. I'm like, I didn't fucking threaten anybody. When I got back to Boulder, I have to deal with people fucking pushing and shoving me and accusing me of being a fucking stalker and fucking shit like that. And people are like, hey, you know, if you just leave for a bit, come back, everything will be all right. Well, when I came back, it was even worse. When I came back, the rumor had gone from I stalked some girl in Virginia and threatened her family to I had raped some girl in Virginia to I had raped and molested some little girl in Virginia, and I was some sort of fucking child molester, and I couldn't see anyone. I couldn't go see Rabbit. I couldn't go see Mobley. I couldn't go see Christine. I couldn't go see any of these people without being assaulted, you know? And I was going to therapy, and I was fucking, you know, all of that shit. I finally got disability, but the fact is, I still had people fucking threatening me, getting a hold of me here in Chapel, Nebraska to threaten my life and call me a child molester and call me a rapist and accuse me of being on meth. When have you ever known me to touch alcohol or meth or anything other than marijuana?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I remember one of the first, like my first memory of really talking to you. You came to the end of the bricks where I was sitting, and I asked you for a cigarette, and you're like, I don't smoke cigarettes. And I was like, huh, you know? I've never seen you do anything. I've never even heard anybody in Boulder all the time on the streets. Any woman has ever said anything negative about you. And Sean, for the longest time, I was the woman everybody came to about problems. But then I had, her street name is Panda. Her name is Melody Ianson on Facebook. She came to me through Ellie about fucking Thor and Rain taking her up to Settlers Park and fucking threatening to tie her up and doing horrible things to her up there. The police refused to take her report and threatened her with falsifying a report.
Yep, there's 2 different cases that they did that. And by the way, I do smoke cigarettes now.
Okay.
I had quit for a while there, for almost, I want to say 2 years or so. But there's a woman named Christy Kelly. She was raped in Boulder County, and she tried to turn in the man who raped her, and he's friends with Boulder officers. So they said that she didn't fight off her attacker hard enough, and they charged her with false reporting.
Yeah.
Now the other one, Chris, is Teresa Massilia. Teresa Massilia was raped by one of her friends in Boulder, and when she actually fought him off, and they wouldn't take a report from her about the rape either, and the fucking rape kit and all that shit, and they charged her with assaulting the man. Like, there's nothing that these girls can do that's right. If they fight him off, then they assaulted him. If they don't fight him off, then the rape is somehow magically justified.
When I had my issues with Mike, and I didn't go to the police because I didn't think they would listen to me, knowing that Mike and I have been doing math. Well, come to find out, Lana was assaulted by Mike, and the only reason she did not get arrested for it is because other homeless women that were there stepped up and said, he's been doing this. She beat the fuck out of Mike.
Good girl.
Yeah.
Fuck
yeah.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, when he assaulted me, because he didn't even get close to getting my pants down, when he assaulted me, he had more bruises on him than I had on me. I beat the fuck out of him because my brother taught me how to fight. You know, but it was hell. It was fucking hell because Boulder doesn't want... I mean, they get so much fucking money for the sex offenders in that fucking county. Especially in the city, because they have the one shelter in I don't know how far that a sex offender can actually go to.
And meanwhile, they only have like 72 beds for actual homeless people in the whole place. They shut down the boho.
I saw that, yeah.
Like, and there's over 4,000 homeless people in Boulder County.
Yeah.
Like, where the fuck are they supposed to go? And then it's illegal to use a blanket, is it not?
You can be under a blanket during the day, provided your shoes stay on your feet.
Isn't that fucking insane?
Yeah.
But Boulder County Cares passes out blankets on freezing nights until 10:30. Is that correct?
No, they got shut down in 17.
Holy fuck! Well, see that was a big racket. That was a big racket because, am I incorrect in saying that starting at 10:30, it's illegal to use those blankets at night?
Yes, it's illegal to be covered up at night in Boulder County.
So Ben Harvey freezing to death was the fault of immoral laws.
That whole fucking community. Absolutely, because the thing is boho was started to keep the drunks and the addicts safe and warm during the night, and to stop those deaths. There was 40-some deaths last year.
Yeah.
40-some deaths among the homeless because they were not properly sheltered in Boulder.
Yeah, I did the numbers on average while I was Starbucks Sean passing out those blankets for those 7 years. On average, I saved 11. Statistically, I saved 11 lives per year. Because before that, it was a higher number by an average of 11 per year, and after that, on average, 11 more people died per year. During that 7 years, there were 11 less deaths during those years per year.
Yep. Well, when I went back to Boulder, I got stuck up there in April of 17, and I didn't have any gear, and there was nowhere to get it. And I had to go up to the pavilion, and the only person who had gear to give me was fucking Bobby Sims, Red. That's the only... I had to wake him up and tell him, I have no gear, and it's starting to sleet outside. I'm in the pavilion. Because there was nowhere. The night I got into Boulder that night, I was stopped by 2 police officers. It was Steinman and a black guy. And they recognized me right away. And Steinman looked at me, he goes, what are you doing back in Boulder? It's not safe for you here anymore. He told me that specifically. And because I stayed, I kept having problems. I got my shit stolen. I got fucking crap up in the fucking mountains with that bitch Katie Kate. That was bad. Like,
well, that's the thing. Katie Kate was going to go in with me to talk to the police after Natalie was killed to try to force them to take a report from me. But she fucking threw me away too. I was like, I just need you to tell the truth. That's all I need from you.
She's a vicious piece of work.
That black guy.
That woman is a vicious piece of work.
The black guy that was with Steinman, and by the way, fuck Steinman, he's a piece of shit.
He is a piece of shit.
But I have a.
I ever met him, he hit on me.
Oh.
Yeah, he hit on me the first time I ever met him under the library in Boulder in 14.
Was that?
What is a beautiful woman like you doing out here? I can help you out.
Yep, he did the same thing with Kelly Hansen. The black guy that was with him, was he a skinny bald guy?
All I remember is he was about the same size as Steinman.
So he was pretty big.
Yeah, he was a newer guy. I'd never seen him before.
That might have been Waylon Lolatai. I can send you a picture.
Okay. He flat out told me that. And then he sat there and he goes, "Where are you going?" And I told him, I said, "I'm just waiting for my girlfriend to come pick me up." And then I faked a phone call. And I was like, "I gotta go meet her at the library." And I just dipped out and fucking backtracked it to fucking up to Evan G where they wouldn't be able to see me. And I was like, "What the fuck does that mean?" And then come to find out, I talked to a street kid who actually witnessed Whitehorse and Steinman doing a meth trade at the Boho.
I can believe that.
Yep. And he was right out of fucking Boulder.
Now, I got another question for you. The whole situation with the missing and murdered Indigenous women. Yeah. Like, by the way, thank you for that, because their rights are our rights. How did you get involved in that?
So, my son Ryan, the one that went missing.
Yep.
He met a woman online named Nicole Walker. And Nicole Walker is Lakota. And she lives up there. He's in North Dakota, with her right now with her family. She is an amazing woman. And what I know about her is she is a Dartmouth graduate. I got to spend some time with her and Ryan in Albuquerque when I left Arizona last year, where she was finishing up her observations for Montessori training, meaning she has gone back to the reservation and she is teaching the teachers on the reservation the Montessori method, so all the children are getting a good education. And she's part of the language revitalization project for her tribe and her people.
Yep.
So Ryan is up there and he's posting this stuff because this is a big deal for her. Well, you know what? My son loves her. I love her. And that's how I got involved, was my eyes were actually opened up looking at her page and some of the things my son was posting. I did not realize before how many of our Indigenous women are missing, are murdered. And it's horrible, Sean.
Well, when I made a post, see, I got stuck in Hardin, Montana after I left my dad's. He was a complete asshole. And while I was stuck in Hardin, Montana, Mary Lyon shows and her brother Gilbert and a bunch of their family, they took me in. And they were explaining to me that there's over 100 missing people from the area. And I made a post about it. And it's had over 14,000 views, by the way. But 10 months later is when Selena Not Afraid disappeared from the very same area. And she died by the exact same methods that I was talking about, in the same area that I was talking about where they dumped these bodies. It's in between Hardin, Montana and Lodgegrass, Montana. This is exactly where John and Mary and Gilbert and all them, and like John Nomi and all of them were telling me about. They're like, this is all between here and Lodgegrass mostly, but there's over 100 missing people from the area. So when Selena Not Afraid disappeared, and I made a post about that, a lot of people were looking at the post that I had made on my YouTube 10 months earlier, and they were, really supporting and sharing that. But then, the whole situation with Natalie, which is the reason that I started my YouTube to begin with, is to speak out, because it's not just Natalie and it's not just me who go through this. It's also you, and it's also
my son, my daughter.
It's a lot of people, exactly. And when you have no money, you have no rights. They pull every dirty trick that they can to prevent you from turning in what these officers are doing. And a lot of these people, like Christine, was given housing for fucking not